It's the evening of day 2 on the review of the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. Our search to find new paragliding launches has taken us through snow-covered mountains and into Nevada's unforgiving desert. So far, we've encountered rough terrain and various obstacles, all of which the Tundra has made short work of. However, the unfavorable weather is the one thing the Tundra can't seem to tame. Darkness has set in as we find ourselves at the far end of an unfamiliar trail and with a flat tire to boot.
Now we have the tire all fixed up. All it ended up being was just a simple plug, filling it back up, and now we're ready to roll. Now we're ready to roll at nighttime. Fortunately though, before we set out on this adventure, Baja Designs hooked us up with a set of replacement fog lights. Now they're called their Squadron Pro series, and what they really are is just a plug-and-play type of application for several different vehicle applications, whether it's 4Runners, Toyota Tacomas, Tundras, or other makes and models. Now, these Squadron Pros, we used them last night. We're again, of course, going to use them tonight as we make our way off the trail and get back up onto the highway. They're very bright, and they do a really good job for adding extra visibility in your near depth of field, but also your far depth of field out at a distance. Again, these are made by Baja Designs, or the Squadron Pro lights. So far, so good. Here's a little demonstration. Hit it.
Making our way to the paved road was easy and quick thanks to the illumination delivered by the Baja Design lights. The immense light produced from these relatively small Squadron Pros completely adds another dimension to this vehicle's capabilities. Knowing what these lights can really do makes the factory fog light seem, well, factory. As we drove into Sin City, I couldn't help but think how the outward looks of the TRD Pro seemed to fit well into this city's many lights and attractions. It was almost as if the TRD Pro was its own Las Vegas attraction. Finally, we laid our heads down and quickly fell asleep with the weight of the situation dwelling in our minds. Could the weather just cooperate for once?
Day 3. Day 1 and 2 have been quite challenging. I expect nothing less from day 3. Here's what we're doing. We're going back to the 6,000 foot mountain in the desert just outside of Las Vegas. And we're going to give it another try. Paragliding, that is. The winds are supposed to be favorable and the skies are clear. So let's give it a shot. We're not going to quit. We're not going to give up. We're going to get Devin in the sky.
As we made our way through the desert, we could see the launch in the distance. The winds down below appeared ideal for flying. However, there was a large cloud stubbornly resting alone at the top of the mountain and covering the launch. Regardless, we were determined to try. I pointed the Tundra towards the mountain, and without hesitation, it angrily clawed its way up the mountain trail and to its summit. I must say, the responsive and predictable throttle was much appreciated in some of the steeper and more technical sections of the climb. Once on top, we found the visibility was very limited and not recommended for flying. The decision was made to wait and see if the clouds would succumb to the warmth of the desert sun. After nearly 2 hours of waiting and nearly defeated, we were gifted the perfect flying conditions.
Getting some good lift up here. Looking good.
Say hello to the Tundra! There she is! There we go!
Negative on the lip. No big deal. Head towards the RZ.
All right, we're going to get Devin right now. Just touched down, probably wrapping up his shoot right now. The Tundra TRD Pro is taking us down the mountain fast. It's almost like a race. There he is out there. Dude, you made it!
Well, of course! That's how we do it, AVR, baby!
The old saying, all good things come to those who wait, held true in this scenario. The payback on this adventure was worth the work we put into it. Now that the flying is over, it's back into the Tundra and time to head out on the long drive home. The drive back gave me time to reflect on the Tundra TRD Pro's on-road characteristics. The first thing you'll notice is the feeling of a plush ride. Don't let that fool you. What you're feeling is increased wheel travel on serious off-road suspension. For being a large truck, the steering is on the lighter side, and one of my favorite components of the truck is its 6-speed transmission, which allows the 5.7-liter engine to be right there when you need it. That is, unless a traction control is getting in the way. Thanks to almost oversized windows, the visibility is definitely better than most of this truck's competitors. The engine's power is not shy, as it seems eager to climb the horsepower range. In the end, it still generally handles like a truck, but with a little more sway and lean. But who can complain? You get the best of both worlds. A competent off-roader and a work truck that can haul over 9,000 pounds. I call that a win-win.
This adventure has been especially challenging. Both day 1 and day 2, Devin wasn't able to go paragliding. We were met with high winds, snow, even hail, and some rain. Now, day 3, that's where it all came together. It's like the old saying, third time's a charm, right? He went on this amazing flight, and he took off from the top of this mountain, 6,200 feet, and the Toyota TRD Pro raced down to the bottom to go recover him and pick him up without a hitch. It was absolutely epic. Beyond that, just being out in the field for 3 days with our friends, enjoying this Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, I can't say enough. I love going on these adventures. Devin loves going on these adventures, and there's no real other way to put a vehicle to the actual test than actually take it on an adventure. So let's start talking a little bit more detail about this Tundra TRD Pro, and let's start with the engine. This iForce 5.7-liter V8 makes 381 horsepower and 401 foot-pounds of torque. Now it's backed by a 6-speed transmission that I'm very impressed with. And here's why. Whenever I get on the throttle, it always seems to find the right gear real quick. and it gets us in and out of the turns very nicely. So the transmission's shifting is very smooth. Moving on back to the rear axle, it's a 430 rear end. That's a tall gear. What tall gear means is that you got better acceleration, you get better towing. Unfortunately though, it does impact some fuel economy. So fuel economy from the EPA rates us at 13 in the city and 17 on the highway. However, for this adventure, and again, I always have an issue keeping my foot out of the pedal when there's such a nice exhaust and some good horsepower behind it. We've been getting about 12.5 MPGs. When I was playing in the dirts and really getting on it, it dipped down into the high 11s. So there's our EPA. Now, let's talk about some of the aftermarket stuff that the owner put on this truck. Now, the owner of this 2015 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro has had it for a couple years, about 40,000 miles he's put on it. He's also done some aftermarket things. One of the things he's done is he's added a set of 35-inch BFG KO2s on 17-inch TRD forged wheels. And as you can see, the truck looks real nice and it has a very commanding stance. Now, the tires that we're running today, these are Michelin AT2s. They're roughly a 32-inch tire. These are the tires that come stock on a Toyota TRD Pro. Also, it comes with an 18-inch wheel. These wheels that you see here are not the rims that go on the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. For this review, to get this truck as stock as possible, we went out and we bought ourselves a set of Michelin tires off a TRD 4x4 truck, not to be confused with the TRD Pro. However, the TRD Pro runs an 18-inch rim with the same Michelin AT2s. Another thing the owner's done, very smart, is he's added a set of white knuckle off-road sliders. As you know, when you're off-roading in a pickup truck, the breakover angle can be pretty drastic and cause a lot of damage on the rocker panel. So by adding these white knuckle off-road sliders, he's made a very good investment, and I can tell you, we've banged him up a couple times out on the trail. Here's where I really get excited about the Tundra TRD Pro, the suspension. Now, suspension here, these are 2.5-inch bodied Bilstein shocks with remote reservoirs. The remote reservoirs allow for the fluid inside the shock to stay cool as the shock is just getting beat up as you go across whatever terrain you're going. Around the shock is Ibach coil. This front suspension package allows for another 2 inches of front wheel travel. The rear shock system, that also is a Bilstein shock, 2.5 inches in diameter with a remote reservoir itself. That adds an additional 1.25 inches of wheel travel. Now, people get kind of wrapped around the axle about wheel travel. Wheel travel is important, but almost more importantly is quality wheel travel. So you could have 20, 25 inches of wheel travel, and if your shocks aren't tuned specifically for your rig, it's not quality wheel travel and you're not getting the best bang for your buck. Now, I know we talked about the EPA, and for this truck it may be suffering a little bit, only because you just have to get on the throttle and hear this award-winning sound. This TRD Pro comes with a specifically tuned exhaust for it. It's got dual tips, say TRD Pro on the outside of them, and the sound is absolutely amazing. You gotta hear it all the time. In fact, let's hear it right now. As you can see and hear, you never want to stop hearing it. Now, with any aftermarket or tuned exhaust, there's the expectation that you could get some increased horsepower. And I've done quite a bit of research online before I even took this truck out. And from some pretty good resources, it's been said that this exhaust can get you another 3 to 5 horsepower. Hey, I'll take anything.
Taking a closer look at the inside of this Tundra reveals a few interior cues that are specific for the TRD Pro. While the theme is not overwhelming, it still lets you know you're driving a TRD Pro. The cloth seats of this 2015 TRD Pro have been changed to leather for the 2016 and 17 models. The interior trim level of this TRD Pro is at the SR5 level. The basic controls are large and easy to use. If you were wearing large winter gloves, turning the heater on would not be a challenge. The Intune touchscreen is user-friendly and works well with a variety of devices. Many of the materials used in the interior are a plastic which feels light and thin. Some of the vehicle controls, like the traction control and tow haul mode buttons, are hidden behind the steering wheel. One of my favorite features is the locking glove box. The cabin space of this Tundra Crew Max is huge, and the rear passenger space is, well, let me put it this way. Seeing a small child sitting in the rear seat makes it look like they're in another zip code. What's better is the amount of storage space that's created when the rear seats are folded up. Overall, the interior of this Tundra is very user-friendly, but a little on the dated side. While I'm looking forward to the next major Tundra remake, I hope the rear roll-down window always remains. Another adventure for the memories. This is one that Devin and I will be talking about for years to come. This Toyota Tundra TRD Pro did its job while keeping a smile on my face even as we faced challenge after challenge. This Pro has some great features that not only make it a competent off-roader, but also a head-turner. Obviously, my favorite part about this truck is the serious coilover suspension. After getting airborne off a jump in this truck, I had to ask if the tires even left the ground because the landing was so controlled and soft. When it came to the slow speed crawling over rocks and such, the truck was able to really flex out, even for an A-arm front suspension rig. Additionally, the throttle sensitivity lacked finesse when negotiating slow speed obstacles. There were more than a couple of times when I intended to move the truck forward just a few inches, but instead the truck would lunge further than what I wanted. Engine power is excellent and the truck really shines on the higher speed off-road trails, leaving many competitors in the dust. Despite the 32-inch Michelin AT2's mild looks and tread pattern, they really are a great all-terrain tire. However, this Inferno TRD Pro is such a bold-looking truck, I really wish they came equipped with a more aggressive-looking and slightly larger tire. And while this Pro comes equipped with a stout front skid plate, I wish the protection continued to other areas of the Tundra's soft underbelly. What's the deal with the plastic gas tank cover? Overall, I like the Tundra TRD Pro because it's a balanced truck. It doesn't lean too heavy on being a purpose-built off-roader or being a straight workhorse. Even with the off-road suspension, it's still rated to tow like any other Tundra. The Tundra TRD Pro feels sporty and eager for the rough stuff, but in the same stroke is a capable all-around truck. We hope you enjoyed this adventure and please join us for the next. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And if you want to find out more information about AVR, please visit us at adventurevehiclereviews.com or find us on Facebook and Instagram. Until next time, get there.